Sometimes grief comes because of decisions that other people make for us. Today, join us as we talk about marriage, the hardships, and the restoration that Jesus Christ offers.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Shieldmaidens podcast. This is a place where we hope you'll come to be raised up to be a warrior for Christ, while also learning how to fight back against the enemy. And the whole time, we really just want to point you to Jesus. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Riley.
We're your hosts. Thanks for being here today. As usual, we have a good conversation coming, and I'm thankful for that. We're thankful that you're here. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, we would really appreciate that. We'd love to have comments, shares, likes. That helps us a lot. And if you're listening on the audio only version, we'd love a review there too. That will help spread the word.
Yes.
Yeah. But we'll get going.
Yeah.
Get started on our conversation. I don't have to ramble on like I usually do. We have two friends. We have a married couple with us today, two new friends.
Yes.
Although I feel like I know them, but they don't know me really. But we have Amber and Rusty Pickens that are joining us today to kind of just share their story. Thank you guys for coming today.
Thanks.
We really appreciate it. And if you want, before we get started, you guys can just introduce yourself, your family, what you do, whatever you want to share real quick.
So I'm Amber Pickens, and we have 4 kids.
Okay.
We have a 21-year-old. He and his wife are having their first baby.
Congrats.
In January, we'll be grandparents.
Oh, that's exciting. That's a new season.
Yeah, an exciting.
Still trying to wrap my head around that one.
I bet you
Grandpa.
are.
He is. I've embraced it. I am ready for that role.
Because you guys aren't old enough to have a
Thank
grandbaby,
you.
right?
Definitely not.
Well,
definitely
we're
not.
old, but
No, you're not.
And then we have a 19-year-old son Xander. He's joining the Navy, and he'll be shipping out in September. And
That's
then
changed too.
an 18-year-old who is graduating in December so that he can join the Army in February.
Oh my goodness. That's a lot, you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ephraim is his name. And then we have Isabel, our 15-year-old daughter. So we have a lot going on in our world.
Yeah, you
That's
do.
a lot.
A lot of exciting things.
Yeah.
But so we are
Awesome.
That's where we're at in our lives right now.
Yeah.
Is just kind of holding on tight and going for a ride.
Yeah. Getting ready to go into some new seasons.
Been married 21 years.
21 years.
So doing the math, we started early.
Yeah, you did. Because when you're only like 25,
like 12,
right? Yeah. Oh, awesome. 21 years. Okay.
Yep.
Good for you guys. Congrats.
Oh, and this is Rusty.
Yeah, this
this
is
is
Rusty.
Rusty.
Thank you, Rusty, for being here. We figured we knew that, but yeah, thank you guys. And I heard at least a part of your story. I don't know if it's what you'll share today. At church, we go to the same church, and this has happened to me multiple times when I've been like praying about, okay, God, who do you want us to have on? You guys kept coming to my mind, and I'm like, they don't know me. They don't know me. But another friend, a mutual friend of ours, gave me your number, and so I reached out, and you guys said yes. So thank you for coming. But we'll just let you share whatever you want to share today. Like, I don't, if you want to share sort of your background of how you grew up, where you came to know Jesus. What's happened in your marriage or in your life. And I mean, I know there's lots of good stuff in there. So whatever you want to share.
So before we start, as I was praying this morning, I'm going to cry. I'm a crier.
We have
tissues
girl,
just for that.
and I am too. So don't be shy.
So if you don't mind, it's probably not how things usually go, but I was listening to this song, and it was just exactly how I feel about our story and God's work in our story. So before we start telling our story, I would like to share this, if that's okay.
Oh, I love it.
So it's actually Ben Fuller. I don't know if you've heard of him. Chasing Rebels, I think is what it's called. But it says, in there, he says, "In this freedom that I found," well, first, let me go back. It says, "Nearly buried in a box of my own sin. And this freedom that I found is not a platform for me to boast in anything that I've done. It's just a messy canvas of God's mercy and my madness and a fiery love that I could not outrun. I find no glory in my story, all the times I ran away, and I'm not proud of where I've been and the choices that I've made, but if my past is now your present, I'm praying you see how there's an unrelenting coming for you Savior who loves chasing rebel hearts.
Oh,
and so we'll go into our story. Our story is messy at times, but periodically, like you can see throughout our lives before we were married and our lives after we were married, how God was always present, always working. And that's something that I just feel like is so important for people to know. So my story, I grew up in a household, a mother and a father for much of my life. My father had drug addictions that really kind of just had a major hold on him. So we were in and out of houses for a large portion of our life. We lived in my great-grandparents' basement, and they were pastors of a church. So
your great-grandparents?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So my mom had to hold down a job because my dad couldn't, anytime they would pop a test, he would quit. And so she would leave for work a lot. And sometimes we would go up into my great-grandparents, and just kind of hang out up there to kind of find that peace. And other times when mom was gone, my dad would have parties, drug parties. And I just remember as a little girl seeing like these really odd looking adults coming down the basement stairs. It had its own little entrance. And so I would spend time, like I would grab my brother and we would go hide in our bedroom. Mom didn't know about it. We didn't know to tell mom about it because we didn't know that that wasn't normal.
Yeah.
We just knew that was our life. And then my grandmother, so my mom's mom, would take us to the church where my grandpa was a pastor. And that's where I met Jesus as a little girl. I want to say it was like 4 or 5. And it was real.
Yeah.
Like he met me there. And then I would have dreams where I would be walking with Jesus. And so in the midst of all the turmoil of our life and the uncertainty, like Jesus made himself known to me. And at the time, I didn't understand that there were going to be even more dark times in my life when I would need to know that like he is indeed real and he is very involved. So, that was my early years. We ended up moving out of that house and continually moving. But my grandma always made sure I went to church. My mom took us to church. She loved the Lord, and she was just doing the best that she could. My sophomore year, I had gone on a missions trip, and I came back, and my dad was gone out of our house. And he had left for another woman and was just on binges. And that kind of was a new phase where he was no longer involved in our life for a period. So that wrecked my world. And much of my life, I grew up feeling like I was never enough. I wasn't enough to be loved. I wasn't enough to keep my dad home. And that was kind of the narrative that ran my life. And even though I had God and God was involved in my life, God put men in my life who were godly to show me love, I still had that in the back of my mind that I wasn't enough. We met when I was 21, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I was 21. I'd come back from missions and had gone to YWAM for a few years and done some stuff there. And
technically, you were 20. 21 is when we celebrated knowing each other.
Right. Okay.
Sorry.
So I was 20, and we both worked at a daycare, a Christian daycare.
Okay.
And had become friends. And so that's where we met. And I'll let him share like his childhood was similar in some ways.
Yeah, so my mom, dad, they had 4 kids. I had an older brother and older sister, then a younger brother. At about the age of 5, my dad cheated, left my mom for my babysitter. And she was 13 years his junior. So it was kind of,
Yeah.
I think at 5 years old, you had no idea what that means,
Right.
but you just
Right.
knew dad left
That's what
mom.
I hear. Yeah.
Right. My dad ended up having 3 girls with her. My mom got remarried and had 3 kids with a stepchild in that. So altogether, there was 11 of us.
Wow.
In the middle of that, she also had a surrogate that we still kind of keep in contact
Okay.
with. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a very colorful group of
Yeah.
family here, right?
Yeah.
But when my dad left, there was a good custody battle. We ended up staying with my dad because he had more of a stable job and was able to support us as kids. But I think us boys in particular were very bitter about it because we felt like he abandoned our mom.
Yeah.
So I want to say at the age of 7, at that time, we were in a separate town from where my mom was. And me and my brothers schemed together, decided to run away to our moms. And it was probably midnight, and we're on this back country road, pedaling our bikes.
Oh. And you were 7
Yep.
ish.
Yep. And my older brother, he was, how much older is he? Was he 6 years older at that time?
Okay.
And my little brother, who was a year and a half younger than me. All 3 of us pedaling our bikes, trying to get to our moms. Our dad meets us halfway because he's coming up from work, finds out that we took off, and he finds us. And I just remember the next day, mind you, I did most of the scheming in this, right? But I remember the next day, the wooden board used on my older brother and hearing it. And just thinking, why is he taking the consequence for this? It was my idea. But didn't do anything about it. We eventually were able to get out of there and go stay with our moms through court decision just because of I think partly because of us kids and our push against it was very much. But little did we know, her new husband was a raging alcoholic. And so there would be nights, she worked 3rd shift, and there would be nights that he would just be on drunken binge. And at that time, she had a girl and twin boy and girl who were 1 and 3. So me, my older sister, would be the ones really kind of holding it together up there. My older brother, Brock, at the time, kind of was just going through screw all this rebellion type of phase. He got kicked out of the house. So there's a lot going on there that we were trying to compensate for. But I remember, just one night, just hearing my mom yell, us coming up, seeing my stepdad standing over her after he had beat her. And just, that was like a constant affair, right? And eventually, my brother Brock got thrown in a juvenile detention center for about 2 years, 3 years, I want to say. My older sister left to go to college. So it was me, my little brother, and the 3 younger kids. And I just remember having a night where, again, my mom was at work, kids were crying, stepdad was on a drunken binge. I went up there to go help, and he was so mad with the kid crying, he threw the kid on the couch. And they were probably about 1.5 at that time, maybe 2. And I remember getting in his face. I mean, I was soaking wet 100 pounds. Not really thinking, but just so upset that he's taking it out on these kids. And I think through it, I think, okay, what am I going to do?
Right.
And I quickly grabbed the kids and went up and hid in our rooms and just let the night go from there. Once I got into high school, the kids were old enough at that point to, in a way, take care of themselves, but their grandparents, my stepdad's mother and father, really took into them, took care of them. So I kind of took it as, all right, I don't have to.
Yeah.
Right? So I think high school is when I kind of just like, screw it all. I mean, You know, I met Jesus when I was 7, going to church camp stuff, because my aunt and my uncle, we would stay there during the summers. Very old school American Baptist people, and really poured into us. So I knew the need for Jesus. I did not know how to work out my faith, though.
Yeah.
Of course.
And so I think I spent most of my childhood trying to figure out, why do people create pain? And just getting so bitter about people, not know so much of God. I didn't put the blame on God,
Yeah.
because I looked at people made the decision.
Yeah.
And I just became bitter towards people. And so it just kind of created a apathetic lifestyle
Yeah.
because of it. And so I would party on, whenever I can. I remember I really had no plans for my future. So I thought, I'm going to join the police cadets and learn how to become a cop and fight justice. That was my thinking. But I didn't separate my partying lifestyle. And I remember just going on with my buddies to at that time lived in Kansas. We lived about 30 miles north of Wichita. We went down to Wichita, which wasn't the safest of places.
I grew up in Wichita. It wasn't
Yeah.
that
You
bad.
do. Okay.
Well,
He's a country boy.
depends on where you land at over there, right?
Yeah. But okay. Keep
Yeah.
going.
But I remember being at a party and having no way to get home. Didn't tell my mom anything. And so I never came home that night. And so she called the cops trying to find out where I was. I show up the next morning, finally found a ride. And I get home. She lets the cops know, well, I'm a police cadet. So when I went to report, I had to spill everything and kind of just, that didn't play out well for me. So I ended up getting that, losing that opportunity. And so I just kind of was aimless for a long time. And that's partly why I knew kids.
Yeah.
I had to help raise my kids. So I was like, you know what, I'll do childcare. So I did that. I also really poured into the children's ministry of the local church.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was a Awanas director for a while at the age of 18.
Wow.
I just loved pouring into kids because I felt like there's the innocence there.
Yeah.
They haven't chosen to
Yeah.
destroy other people.
Yeah.
Right. And so I really poured into that, and I just felt that calling. So that's where we met.
Yeah. So I think it's fair to say that when we met, neither of us were fully living for the Lord.
Yeah.
We were both kind of in our phase. I had started partying. I had a fiance at the time. The joke is that I upgraded. He was supposed to be my usher in the wedding. But we'll get there. But so we would party, my fiance and I, and then when he and I started being friends, my fiance had gone off into the Army. And he accidentally called me. It was like a butt dial when that was really like everybody butt
that
dialed.
can happen.
Yeah. So he accidentally butt dialed me, and I could hear him and another girl in the background. And we were, a month away from our wedding?
We were 3 months at that time.
Okay. So I spiraled. I called Rusty, who was my best friend at the time, which isn't very wise. But I called him, and there was a party going on at the place that he stayed at. So I showed up and got very inebriated. And so was he. And that was the night that we conceived our oldest, Aiden. So I'm still engaged to somebody. He's in this ministry. We both work in a Christian daycare. And my family knew the missionary side of me.
Yeah.
They didn't know the other side of me. So my fiance had come back. We were going to talk things through. And I dropped him off at the airport when he left, just still feeling very like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And it was the weirdest thing. I thought, I'm going to stop and get at this, like on the turnpike, get a pregnancy test. And it just popped in my head.
You hadn't even thought about it.
No,
before
not at
then.
all.
Yeah.
Not at all. And I took the pregnancy test and it came back positive. And I was like, no way. There's like, and I knew it was
Yeah.
rusty.
Yeah.
So, as we do, I'm going to fix the problem. So I think I called you shortly after that and we met and I told him that because I had to hide it. I had to hide it so that this persona wasn't destroyed. And so I told him that I was going to go to Colorado to think. I had a family friend in Colorado, an older couple, and she had an abortion before. And mind you, I used to stand outside we had George Tiller. I don't know if you remember him, like the late term abortionist. He was in Wichita. Okay. So I used to stand outside there with my youth group and, try to reach these women. Yeah. And honestly, I judged them because how could you? How could you do that when I was younger?
Yeah.
But like having had this experience of my whole world had just blown up.
Yeah.
I saw the desperation and the fear and started telling myself, lying to myself, saying that this was not a baby. All the narratives that the world likes to throw that I knew were absolutely totally untrue. I started telling myself that. So he begged me to stay. He was like, we were so young, like 22.
I just turned 21.
Yeah,
You're
and
22.
I was 22. Yeah. I'm older.
That's awesome.
I'm sure you remind her of that.
I needed the wisdom.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. She's
so he tried to, I'll take care of you. I'll take care of the baby. But that wasn't even it. I needed to save
face.
Yes.
Yeah. Like the persona.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I ran away and was working for this family to earn money to have the abortion. And I started having some pain. So she was afraid that it was an ectopic pregnancy. So she took me in to just be checked. And while we were in the room, she heard the heartbeat. And in that moment, she knew she couldn't be a part of it anymore. And she had more foresight than I did in that moment. And she told me she couldn't help me do this because she knew it would destroy me. So she packed me on a Greyhound bus home. And by then, I was probably almost end of second semester.
You're 5 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she packed me on the Greyhound bus, and my grandmother, who used to take me to church, picked me up from the station. And obviously, I was pregnant. She was the one that I was most concerned of, little Pentecostal lady,
Yep.
And I met in that moment God's grace and love. And but my mind hadn't changed. Everybody obviously was going to know, but I was still going to have this abortion. So he doesn't know I'm home. Actually, I should go back. I called him when I was in Colorado because I had decided I was going to have this abortion. So I called him and I told him that I had miscarried. So that when I came back,
there would be no question.
and it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
So I'm dealing with all of that while I'm out here still actively planning to try to find a way to end the pregnancy. And I had several appointments and we had George Tiller. So I know I could go up too.
Yeah.
And it was like, you have to get a ride there because you have to have a ride back. So every single time I had an appointment, that person's car would break down or some kind of something interrupted their ability to get me, and I had to keep rescheduling. And I am in my third trimester, and I was sitting at a stoplight, and a semi truck.
It's one of those moving trucks.
Yeah. Came
Yeah.
at the intersection, had crossed my view, and it had the picture of an aborted baby on it, which I've always found grotesque and harsh. that wasn't the way that you should.
Yeah.
But it hit me. And in my car at the stoplight, the Spirit of God like filled my car, and all of the shame and all of the lies and all the hardness that I had to like create in my heart just broke. And I just started bawling. And I knew then in that moment, like I couldn't do it. And that all the different things that had led up to like all the different appointments that were broken were God and His grace. So I had to now deal with where I was at. And number one was to reach out to Rusty. So I reached out to Rusty, and I am like large. And so I was like, hey, I'm in town. Can I come and meet with you? And I get to like hear the hesitance in his voice, but he was like, yeah, that's okay. So I walk in, and I remember he's sitting on the couch, and he turns around and
It's a miracle.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Right. And I don't even remember like what I said after that, because the room started spinning for me, and I'm sure it was spinning for him.
Sure.
So that's, I'll let you take over from there, but he didn't look happy, and he looked very confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Understandably
that.
so.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think, me being stupid, when she told me she miscarried, I thought escape.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
She's crazy. So I just got off the...
It's more of, man, I was putting myself in a situation that was just self-destructive, right?
Yeah.
And so this is God telling me, all right, clean this up.
Yeah.
Now you need to get your crap together. And me being stupid, I met another girl in that time. And so we were dating. And this was in January, you showed up.
Yeah.
She was due to have him in March. So, yeah, it was.
Well, I will say this, just for people who are listening. Like I showed up, before I reached out to him, I called, I started talking to the Lord. And I obviously knew like that was actually number one. I needed to fix things with the Lord. And so I had come to the place where I needed to fix things with him just because I had wronged him.
Yeah.
And so when I came, I do remember saying, you don't have to be a part of me. You don't have to be a part of the baby's life. But if you want to be, you can. So I did say that.
And I do remember that. And I remember thinking, well, there's a lot to carry on right now. But one thing that I will say that my mom and dad did raise me with was a sense of responsibility. And I had that sense of responsibility to it. So I think the confusion part was, what do I do next?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've got to do something. I can't just let her take care of this all by herself. I'm very much part of what's happened here.
Yeah.
And so it kind of just, there's probably why that glazed look happened over me. Like, I don't know what to do here. But I knew I needed to be there.
Yeah.
Regardless of what our relationship looked like, I knew that child still needed a father. And I understood that. I've seen that too many times where the father wasn't there.
Yep.
And I wasn't going to be that guy.
So that wasn't like, none of this was said that night. It was kind of just, hi, surprise. And then he kind of reeled, and I left.
Yeah.
So then we didn't
I think
talk.
you told me when the doctor's appointment was and the office that it was at.
Yes. And that was funny because then I'm sitting there. This was when I was going to find out what I was having. This is probably my first actual
Because you hadn't been
appointment.
getting
Right.
care
Right.
because you were planning to terminate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sitting in there by myself. My family, my mom didn't, she had to work, and my grandma just wasn't. I mean, she was supportive, but it was a lot. So I'm sitting there, and I see him and his little brother literally looked like his brother was dragging his butt in there. Walk in, he's still upset at me, and rightfully so. So it was awkward, and we sat there, and that's when we found out that we were having Aiden. And
so the funny thing about that is my little brother, I would say, of all of us boys, even including my half brothers, and he was the most forward thinking, right?
Oh.
on planning, how to take care of things, stuff like that. I was a train wreck, right? But I was staying with him. We were living
Yeah.
together because I was a train wreck, because I couldn't
Like
keep my
he
life
even
together.
did his money. Like
Yeah.
he would give him so much money.
Yeah.
Allowance.
Yeah, I was a mess. And so I think I told him after she stopped by, and he's like, well, you got to take care of this kid. I'm like, yeah, I get it, but what am I going to do? He's like, freaking find a good, stable job.
Yeah.
And just kind of,
Practical
Yeah.
things that you needed
Yes.
to do. Yeah.
I think the other side, the other girl I was dating, because I was so confused, I was like, man,
Yeah.
I broke it off with her because number one, I shouldn't have been in the relationship. I clearly was a mess, and I shouldn't have brought her into that. But I was also like, man, I don't know what to do here, and I don't know where to put you in all this. So I just assumed just wipe
Yeah.
this clean, and then start working through what I need to do next steps. And I think, showing up at that appointment, as much as I was I was really bitter towards you because you messed with me.
Yeah.
Right? Even when you left for Colorado, I was so hurt by you because I felt like she's still not choosing me. Right? And so I was like, okay, why are you doing this to me? I'm reliving all that pain that people bring on me. Right? And I'm just like, I just don't understand people. So I was very bitter. But I think sitting there next to you, looking at that child we created, God gave me a heart for you that I was not prepared to have. And I think from that point, I don't think you were prepared for what God did in me. That, man, from a father's perspective, there's nothing more beautiful than a pregnant mother. Right? And I did not understand that until that moment. And I think that not just love for that child, but love for you, regardless of all the pain. And that was the start of the process of really, really wrestling with God on what love is.
And so for me, I sensed that. And that was the first time in my life that I experienced unconditional love. And it was through him, but I knew it was also God's unconditional love. Because I obviously, having known the truth and actively pushing against the truth, was carrying all this condemnation and unworthiness and all those, that same record that I had my whole life. I was unworthy and I didn't deserve to be loved and nobody would choose me. And so to see that love in him was something that was so new to me that I didn't know how to accept it. And so he asked me to marry him and told me that God had told him that I was going to be his wife. And I was like, God did not tell me yet. And then, so he had to drive me back to my grandma's because that's where my mom and I were staying now. And I remember we were sitting in front of grandma's house and he was, but God did tell me. And I was like, well, God can talk to me too. And until he tells me the same thing, then I can't say yes. And obviously.
I remember driving away from that thinking, she's rejecting me again.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can see God telling me that, but it's still her decision, right?
But it wasn't a rejection.
That's the way I took it.
Right.
Yeah.
So my brother had I have two brothers. My middle brother had a baby.
She's the oldest.
I am. What's that supposed to mean?
It's a relationship dynamic.
Oh yeah. So okay, but so he had gotten married because he had a baby, and it was not good. And so I wanted to make sure that we weren't taking something, that I wasn't trying to fix something again on my own. I needed God to say, this is me. This is, and so at some point, I don't remember when, so it wasn't some glorious sign from heaven. I had heard that, yes, this is the one. So
it's the second week of February.
Oh, that's sweet. Look at that.
Yeah, because then we planned that wedding within a month.
Gosh.
Quickly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we got married really quickly.
Because it was Valentine's Day.
And then 2 weeks later, we have our baby. So, we're married, we're newlyweds, we have our baby. And I'm still carrying all this condemnation and just not understanding forgiveness. And the fact that he forgave me almost made it worse, you know?
Yeah. Heaping on
Yes.
the condemnation and the
Yeah.
guilt. Yeah.
Instead of freeing me, it was like another reason to just hate myself. So we have Aiden, and then what was it? June, right? Yeah,
This is
'cause
July. No, it's July.
oh, your mom's birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in July, we got a call. Was it like 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
That his little brother, the one that had really fought for our marriage, and it was so cute. He was so into our marriage. Like, he would show up randomly at our apartment with like a coffee maker, a coffee table. Like, he was so precious. That he had a motorcycle accident and was in the hospital. And so we spent several days, I think, 2 days up at the hospital, just praying. And as a wife, seeing my husband go through this, they were 11 months apart. So they were really, really, really close, was heartbreaking and terrifying because our world was already very fragile. And I knew that this was life altering.
Yeah, he died on my mom's birthday.
And I think that moment started like another subchapter of our marriage. And so while I'm dealing with my own secret feelings, he's now dealing with this. And it left like a void in him for like 7 years.
So, some backdrop to that too. Through all of our upbringing, there was a time where my older brother and my older sister stayed with my mom, and me and my little brother were stuck with our dad and our stepmom. And, we fought a lot. I mean, like fist fights, black eyes, fat lips, me and my little brother. But it's like something changed when I got out of high school and took off and came back. Because after high school, I took off and went to seminary school thinking that's where I was going. I did it for a semester and dropped out. And when I came back, that's when he really kind of took me in. Because at the age of 17, he already had his own apartment.
He was very different.
Yeah,
very
he was built
responsible.
different.
Yes.
And so when I came back, it was like something changed our relationship. That he was my best friend, and we just did a lot together. And so, part of that too, because he was kind of that type of guy that wanted to help hold the family together. My oldest brother, when he had got out of juvie, he got back into things. He ended up going to prison for 4 years for robbing a convenience store. So when he got out, he was homeless because nobody's going to hire a felon. And to a point where my little brother even stayed with him at homeless shelters to get him back up on his feet. And
while he had the apartment.
Yes.
He just knew,
And, he finally got him into an apartment with a roommate. And then my oldest brother and roommate got in a fight. The roommate stabbed him 21 times. He about died. And again, my little brother took him in, helped take care of him, get him back up on his feet. And then, this kind of wrecked the whole family.
Yeah. Yeah.
It did.
It did.
And we're, 4 months into our marriage.
Yeah.
With a baby,
Yeah.
a new baby. And
So I think for, I would say it was for 7 years.
Yeah, I was just going through motions.
And I was a single parent. And so, after Aiden, 2 years later, we had Xander. And then 11 months later, we had Ephraim. So at this phase in our life, we have 3 young toddler boys, which are a lot. And I think that it would be fair to say that it was hard for Rusty to feel anything. You were a shell I think,
Well,
of yourself trying to deal
so
with
another backdrop to that was it 2 years before we really met. My father went to prison for molesting my stepsister. And it was probably right around Ephraim's birthday that
Yes.
he got out.
No, he had been out before then.
Yeah.
But that's about when there were still some tendencies that that were not normal. And his dad would, come to birthday parties and really early and not follow our boundaries. I had set boundaries that,
And this is where me checked out as a husband and a father really, I think, had an impact on our marriage.
did. I wrote a letter and, told him, you're not respecting our boundaries. You're physically trying to push the envelope. So you're no longer welcome to this
I
part of our life.
supported her in that, but not directly.
Yeah.
So she became,
Bitter.
well, you were the protector, which is backwards, right?
It's not, yeah.
And even though I said, I agree with this, that he needs to be not around for my kid's sake, she's the one that had to do the dirty work.
Yeah. She enforced it.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So I didn't understand. I mean, looking back, hindsight is
Yeah, of
2020.
course.
But I didn't understand that he was in his own prison. And so instead of, communicating, which neither of us knew how to do, we didn't really grow up in communicative homes. I became bitter and fine. I am the oldest child. So it was like, I will just do it. I will take care of things. So I, took kids to parks on my own. I remember one 4th of July, I went on my own to like the party because, I didn't understand that he was dealing with his own sin. So I was not a nice wife. I was very sharp-tongued, mean-spirited. When he would want to have sexual relations, I was very not interested. I remember saying, I'm not your prostitute, things like that. Like I was just cold. And then at one church service, I was sitting in the service and I don't even remember what the sermon was about, but it was about chains being broken off of your life. And in that service, like I literally felt the weight just fall off of my own shoulders, and realized that I had been carrying all of that shame, all of that guilt around for years, and it had chained me, making me unable to love and unable to accept that unconditional love that I so needed 7 years back. And I was actually able to feel like a human again. It was shortly after that, so now we have our daughter. Okay, so we have the 3 boys and the girl. She's about to turn 2. One, that's right. No, it was 2. We had her.
It was 1. But that's all right.
She okay. I'm not good at math. But that he had a position open up in Pennsylvania within his plant for promotion, and they had given him that position. So we had to leave literally our whole world. And so for 7 years, while he's going through his stuff, my family, my mom, my grandma, my grandpa, my brothers, like kind of supported me.
Yeah.
And, I'd go over there and we'd have dinner, or they'd come over and we'd have dinner. And so my mom was not happy about it. And, she's like, what are you going to do? But I knew that this is where God was calling us. I had, I think again, I was like, God, it's going to have to tell me, like, type of thing. And he did. And so I knew it was a God thing. So we left to Pennsylvania, and Izzy was 2. I know what he says, but Izzy was 2. So we're there, and I'm trying to work through. I mean, I remember nights I'd go to bed and I would say, God, just make me a different person. Like, give me a lobotomy, because I knew that I was still so very, like, upset, that I knew that there was greatness in him, and I knew that he was made to be a daddy. And I knew that for whatever reason he wasn't able to, but I couldn't show him that unconditional love and grace for whatever reason. It was more judgment, I think, is probably what it came across.
Yeah. But I think part of the Pennsylvania situation was me running from the pain. Mm-hmm. Even though God was moving in that, it was me running from the pain because I felt like I was just reliving pain throughout my life there. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, if I can pull us out of here, at least I can just deal with just the marriage part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't have to deal with everything else.
Yeah.
So we moved in October, and I remember it was May 4th. His work had like a Cinco de Mayo. Mm-hmm. No, May 5th. That's 5. Yeah.
That's cute.
Thanks.
May 4th is Star Wars Day.
I told you I'm not good with math, or Spanish. But so we had gone, all of our kids in tow. So I got them all ready, and we go to this like picnic type thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember we were there, and he kept leaving us, and I thought, well, this is really odd. I don't know anybody here, and I just have the kids. So we just kind of stood around being awkward. And then he kept going and talking to this certain person. And so I went over and introduced myself to her, and it was, the spidey senses go off, and you're like, there's something wrong here. So I started asking him, like, her name, like, what's going on? Is something going on there? And he kept saying, no, you're just reading into things. You're just insecure. You're just jealous. And at that point in time, I was like 225 pounds. Like I was insecure. So I thought, well, maybe that is part of it. And I don't even remember if it was like just a couple weeks after that. We were sitting on the couch. We had put the kids to bed, and I could just feel something was really off. And all the while, we had our issues, but I felt like he was my best friend. He was my best friend before. And, maybe the love didn't feel quite where it should, but he was still my best friend. And I knew something was wrong. So I started pressing him and just asking him, are you okay? Something's wrong. Mm-hmm. Finally, he told me that he was having an affair with that person, and he loved her, and he didn't love me. And instantly, like, my whole world that I once thought was solid was fluid. And I was filled with rage, because here we are. Not like 6 months, maybe a little more than that. It's more than that, but not even a year into being away from my whole structure. Mm-hmm. We know really nobody there. I knew the neighbor kind of, because she was also a stay-at-home mom. And you're going to tell me that you don't love me. You never loved me. And so I was ready to destroy him. Like here's my moment. I've waited 7 years to say all these ways you've disappointed me. And like God, just like he did in the car with the pregnancy, filled my heart, and all of those feelings were instantly gone. And instead I saw my husband through his eyes, and I saw a broken young man. Not the dad, not the husband, but the broken young man. And I had no words left. And so I got in my car, because I'm like, I'm going to leave. So I got in my car, and we lived like a really severe hill. And I got to the top of the hill, and I'm sitting there going, what the heck? Where are you going to go? I had no job, so I had no money. His money was my money. And I wasn't going to leave the kids. So I got back into the driveway, and I called my mom, and I had told her, and it wasn't very helpful, obviously.
Right.
And I went back inside. I don't even remember. Did we talk when I went back inside?
I think you just had the kids and spent time with the kids.
Yeah. So that led to just like I kind of went on autopilot. I would wake the kids up, get them ready for school, get him off to school. I would cry before I would get him off. I would cry after, during nap time, and just really like praying and talking to God. And I remember one day in particular, I felt so awful. And Ephraim was maybe he wasn't in school yet. So he was really little. And he looked at me and he grabbed my hand and he said, "You're so beautiful, Mom." And I knew that was like God speaking to me, that I was being seen. And so I started running, because I used to be a runner in high school, and it was like the one thing I could control. So I remember the first time I went for like a run. I'm 225 pounds. Like, it's not going to happen. So I went like around the corner just to where he couldn't see me, and I like passed out in the grass, and I just cried. But I kept going and I kept going. And it was on these runs that I would literally scream and cry to God. I would make the kids dinner. He would have dinner with the kids, and I would go for a run. And I had family members, even his mom, "I'll come get you." My grandma, she was like, her husband had, issues. And so she was like, "I will come and get you." And the kids, and the world said I could, right? Yeah. The Bible technically said that I could. But it was on those runs. I remember one in particular, like God told me no, that I was to stay. So I was screaming, like I was like, "God, no!"
Say
like,
what?
Yeah. So I stayed and just started putting like Bible scriptures literally everywhere about who God says I was, about my marriage, about redeeming power, and just all. So everywhere I looked was a Bible scripture, because if I was to stay, then I needed to be able to forgive and let go. And it was like a battle for my mind, like literally every second in the beginning. "No, I forgive, I let go. No," and I would take those thoughts that, "You're unworthy." Like it played into all of the things that I had already heard and felt my entire life. And I would take those and replace it with the word of God. Like, you can't just stop saying it. You have to replace it.
Right.
So it was, I think I had reached out to my friend. She was a Catholic. And, I love that they are like very big on saving marriages. So she hooked him up with a priest. And we were like non-denominational. But I was like, "Listen, you're going to go talk to this priest." And so he met with him that night. And I remember all the kids, like, they didn't know what was going on. They were still really young, but they knew that something was off. So it was a Friday, and we're having like the cheese pizza with our neighbors, because they can't eat meat at that time, like on a Friday or something. And we all sat down, and I was like, "We're going to pray for Daddy." And so like I just said, "Daddy's going through something and he needs us to pray." So we all prayed for Dad while he was with the priest. And it was in that moment, I think, that God gave me that unconditional love for my husband. And I knew that I was undeserving, not just once, but many, many times. And that God had met me with that unconditional love. And once it was through my husband. And so we're on the road to, I think, fixing this. And then I find a text on his phone that he had thought he deleted. And they had, I think, the physical side of it had stopped, but that tie was still there. It hadn't been severed. So I blew up in the kitchen. And I remember saying, like, "Something isn't right here. Like, this tie has not been severed." And I went for a run. And again, I'm like, these poor people on this road that I used to run on were probably like, "Oh, here comes the crazy lady." Because it wasn't in my head. It was out loud. And by now, I'm a runner. By now, mind you. So I am I'm like fighting with God, like literally wrestling with him. And I'm like, God, you tell me to stay. You tell me to forgive him. And I do. And then this is what I find. You pulled me away from my entire world. For what? For us to fall apart. Like, this is how I felt. I felt like God had taken me out of the world of structure and peace to where I knew nobody.
Yeah.
We knew nobody, so that we could fall apart. So I was really mad. I was like, how many times do I have to forgive him? And God said, again and again and again. So I'm like crying, and I'm a little bit further on the run, and I'm not talking to God anymore.
We're done talking to you.
This is not it today. We're done. So I'm running. It was I come out of like this wooded area, and I'm like blasted with wind, which is hard if you're a runner.
Yeah.
And I see this little bird was like trying to fly in the wind, and it was getting absolutely nowhere. And I am kind of a hippie, so I was like, oh, you poor bird. Like, totally forget all my problems. And I'm like, this poor bird needs help. And it kept landing on this fence post, and it would get up, and it would try to fly again. And I watched it do it over and over. And I felt God say to me that I was that bird, and that the storm was big and it was windy, but that he was the fence post, and that I could find my rest in him, so that I could get up and I could keep fighting, because he had called me to fight for this marriage. So I think that was like that night, that day was the turning point in my heart, that it didn't matter what anymore. Didn't matter that there wasn't any justice. It didn't matter that it didn't seem right. I was called to love. I was called to forgive. I was loved and I was forgiven. And it was my time to extend that to him and to trust in God, which seemed odd. But, looking back now, I think that is the best place for us to have fallen apart. Yeah. Because had we been home, we wouldn't be here today.
Because you would have had other people to pick up the pieces and help you. You wouldn't have.
Yeah, the whole world was screaming like you're
done.
Yeah, my brothers were mad. Yeah. They were like, because they're not Christians, how could you forgive him? Well, I was called to, and if I'm called to, then you need to, let it go. And
right.
And so I think that was a turning point in our marriage, and probably the first time he knew that God loved him so unconditionally too.
But I think my boss at that time,
yes,
because I went in there and told him everything. And frankly, I was expecting to lose my job.
She was the HR lady, so
I was expecting to lose my job.
Yeah.
And so part of me was thinking, okay, she's going to leave, take the kids. I'm going to have to figure something out.
Yeah.
So I was prepared to start working this out. What am I going to do? And he sat me down and said, you're a moron. Right? He's like, you have a really great thing there, right? Because this is probably a month afterwards. Yeah. He's like, you've got a really great wife. You got great kids. Why are you throwing this away for this? Somebody that really doesn't care if she's willing to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
he started sending him home early to go spend time with me and the kids.
Wow, what a blessing.
Yeah. Which, mind you, he's not
No, he's like a big gruff bear.
Yeah.
He really is awesome. Yeah.
What,
I love him though.
6'5", 350 pounds?
Kind of grunts.
Yes.
That guy. That's him.
And he has compassion for people, but he's not like he wasn't going to church regularly.
Right.
So, that foundation was different, right? Yeah. So it's like he understood the value that this marriage had, even though I didn't.
And I think that more than even just that, he was the vessel. My neighbor was a vessel. He was a vessel that God had strategically placed, because we were going to fall apart.
Yeah.
It was going to happen. And so God put in the team, unconventional as it was. It's never what you think it would be.
No,
that was going to help facilitate this. I see it as we were a broken vase to begin with. And we took our pieces and we glued them together as best we could, like little kindergartners. And that's what it would look like when it was but it was fragile. And so we moved to Pennsylvania and our world fell apart and we couldn't put it back together. We didn't have family to put it back together. No. We didn't even have a church at that time to put it back together. The only person was God. Like he was the only person that could put it back together. So he put together his team and, we started seeing a counselor and really just working on fixing all of those areas in our life, forgiving those hurts, letting those people go. But I was ready to leave because she's HR. And so I could forgive my husband because God called me to, because I love him and he's the father of my kids. But by golly, like the other side of me was like, I'm ready to throw down with this person because she wasn't letting go either. She kept attempting to push her way back in. And, we had moved to Pennsylvania. There were other opportunities for us to move out. But for whatever reason, it never happened. Like it just would never happen. And then God started telling me that I needed to forgive her. And that was probably even more difficult, I think, than walking through everything else. And I'm like, well, can't you just move to, because there was another plant, 30 minutes away? Like, can't you just move there? Like, why do you have to see this? Yeah. Because in his position, he had to work with her frequently. And so there was like all this trust issue, obviously. And then but it wasn't until I was able to see her and not want to say things or physically do things to her, that I actually realized I forgave her. And I wouldn't say it was a year later.
I think, it was at least a year.
Yeah, a year. I had truly forgiven her. I had nothing. And I started seeing her through different eyes. She was a broken and lost person that Satan used to try to destroy our family. And then he got the call. Like, okay, now we can move.
Wow.
And I looking back now, I'm so thankful that God did that way because I'm a runner. I like to run from my problems. So if we could just get her out of the picture and we could just move away, I don't have to think about her. I don't have to forgive her. She's just done, but it wouldn't have been done. It would have still been in my heart. And God knew that. God knew that I had to forgive.
It destroyed you.
Yeah, it does. Because we talked to our kids about this. That unforgiveness doesn't stay there.
Yeah.
No,
it has tentacles.
Yeah.
And it can bleed into every relationship you have. So we moved. And by then we had a good group of people who had come around and supported us, and
men's group. Yeah.
And now I'm not ready to leave. And so I was like, God's going to have to tell me. And he did in the shower. So
he always talks in the shower.
I know. I think for moms,
I have a lot of God talk in the shower.
It's like the only time.
The only time you're like by yourself. Maybe by your kids are still coming in.
Yeah. But so but it was hard. I mean, I remember crying all the way from Pennsylvania to Ohio.
Moved to Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. And that was interesting time. I think that was me still working out my identity, honestly, right? Because I thought, I don't have, I think Pennsylvania showed me that doesn't matter how hard you try, you're not, because I go back to all the pain that happened from other people in my life, and now I'm the one creating it. And thinking, I thought very low of myself at that point. And work was the one place that I felt victory, right? And so I just poured into it because that's the only way I was feeling successful.
Yeah.
And I felt like I wasn't enough for her. In this way, at least I can show there's something in me that's value, right? And so I just poured into work when we were in Ohio to a point where it was controlling every aspect of my life. My interactions with the kids, interactions with you. So when they were stressed, they felt it. And it got pretty unhealthy to where I was working 12-hour days, 5-6 days a week. And it got to a point where I just didn't like being with myself because it just, I don't know, I just felt like I was, again, becoming a robot. I wasn't feeling much emotion. And I knew there has to be some change. And it had to be dramatic. And, you know, we had a good lifestyle for the most part. I had a really good job.
I think we lived there for 7 years.
No, it's
8?
5.
Oh, well, still the longest we've lived anywhere.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
It was
I was
5
7.
when I got this feeling that I needed to do
But
something
we were there for
dramatic.
7 years.
It's 6.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started just trying to think through, all right, God, what do you want me to do? Because I know I can't maintain this. So I need some guidance.
And we
I
knew that
told
wasn't
her,
where we were
yeah.
going to stay. Like
Yeah.
everybody was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is wonderful." And I'm like,
I
"This
remember
isn't our
telling her
thing."
that
Yeah.
I do need some change, and I don't know what that is. But I mean, I think that was the first time I actually opened up to you what was going on inside me. Because I was a pretty closed up person. In some ways, I still am. Right.
Gosh, and we've been married like 15, 16 years
Yeah.
at this
At that
point.
point.
So I was very raw in what was going on inside me. And I think part of that is because I've lived through Pennsylvania and knew if I didn't deal with it and if I didn't find that support, I'm going
come
to
back,
end up in a
yeah.
worse situation. And Pennsylvania sucked. Right?
It did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
As much as great things happen
Came
there,
out of
I
it.
did not
Yeah.
care to do that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But part of it is these kids do not need this.
Yeah.
There's a better life there for them. And if I just be willing to put away my pride and my own desires, then I can show them that. And whatever that looked like, I had no clue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was almost Christmas time. I just put my resume out there. Didn't really apply for any jobs. I just put my resume out there. I ended up getting a call from a guy, a recruiter. It's the first one I got, and I hated recruiters. I dealt with recruiters all the time. I just felt like they're just vultures.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I mean, what's it going to hurt? I'll listen to it. I ended up talking with the HR lady with this new company, and I just hearing their perspective, the owner's perspective, I was like, man, I need to listen to this more. I felt like God was trying to get me just to listen to it more. And so I was telling her about it. And I think we were just wrapping our heads around, all right, what's our next step here? And I think we tried to control the situation almost, but I was like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Right? I've never had to look for a job.
Do you think
I'll be
by
honest
now
with you.
we wouldn't try to control things?
we still
would
do
just
the things,
know.
though.
Think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Why is that our first instinct?
But I think there's a point where we don't know what to do, so we just got to let God to direct it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I ended up meeting with the owners, and it was like a breath of fresh air. Like there's something to this that I need to understand. And so they wanted me to live in the Evansville area. They specifically
that's how
asked
you
me
got
that,
here.
right?
Okay.
Even though my job was going to be in Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, okay, Evansville's a
Interesting.
little bit different, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Not
say
that
different.
beautiful,
Right.
compared to Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
and
because
Ohio.
honestly, we miss Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It just had so much history, loved history.
Yeah.
But it felt more like home where
Here.
we came from. Yeah.
Yes, here it does.
So we're like, yeah, I think we both felt like, yeah, this is the place to go.
And we talk to our kids because at this
Yes.
point, I think one thing that if we can say we've done something right, it would be that, I mean, not all the nitty gritty, which they know now, obviously. I mean, as they've gotten older, we've shared more pieces of our
Right.
story
Sure.
just to kind of help them to see, like God's redeeming
Yeah.
power in everything.
Yes.
I can say through our life, through the times that we've been through childhood to even now, like I know that there is nothing that God can't change.
Amen.
And that he can't redeem back to him. There's nobody too far gone. There is no wall that you could put up that is too big for him. And there is, his love for us is so great no matter what. So,
we sat down the kids, and I think I was transparent with them that, look, Dad's not in a good spot, and it's affecting you guys, and it's not okay. And so we proposed this and let them give their input. Like, if we're going to do this, what would you guys like to see different?
Yeah.
Right? And for them, it was like, hey, we want a big yard.
Yeah.
We want, right?
Puppies.
Yeah.
Just getting them excited about it and giving them, I think, just a certain amount of sense of being a part of this family,
Yeah.
right? Because
That's
I
important.
hadn't done that for the last few years because of the way I was functioning in Ohio. And so I think through that, just going through that process drew us all together closer.
yeah.
And I think through that also, I think starting Pennsylvania, I wasn't a compassionate individual.
No.
You were not? Is that
no.
what
He
you
was
said?
not.
Yeah.
I'm not. It was a muscle that had to be worked out. But I think through that, because of what she did, I understood compassion more. And then I was compassionate towards my children. And then I think what really pushed me was your father. And I never really talked to you about that. But dealing with her father the last 4 or 5 years, I
So-
had a compassion for him.
He, we touched on his drug abuse and whatnot. And so there were times like we wouldn't know where he was. We'd have to go find him on the street. When we first got married, was the hardest because he was homeless again at that time. And I remember one time he showed up to our house. I just had Aiden, so he's still a toddler, and off of a drug binge, and just needed to shower, for me to wash his clothes and to feed him. But I knew because of his lifestyle, I had to have a boundary. And so I had to drop my dad off downtown and say goodbye to him. And it was so hard because my heart had always been towards my dad. And the little girl's always going to want her daddy in her life. And I would pray all the time that God would save him. I remember one time I tried to have a conversation with him, and it was in high school. He had come to visit after he had left. And I just shared the gospel story with him, and it was like he changed, and he was angry, and it scared me. And I knew then that okay, I just gonna have to pray for him. So he had showed up to my house. I fed him. I washed his clothes. I let him shower, and I had to drop him off. And I came home just crying. Periodically, there were a couple times he came and lived with us for a while, and then I remember one point. It was just before, I can't remember when exactly, but he gave his life to the Lord. Oh. And it was really, he got baptized, and we were able to go and be there for his baptism. This long-haired hippie dude with tattoos all over his body. And it was just so beautiful. All those prayers through the years, I was able to be there and witness my dad meeting my daddy. And, he still struggled with addiction sometimes, he would, relapse and whatever. But in the last 5 years, he really was working on it, and he would call me all the time, and he'd pray every day. And I knew he was getting he had hepatitis and all these other things from his hard life and liver failure. I had to go home to put him on hospice. This is in 22. And I told Rusty going into this that I knew I was not going to be okay. That when Dad passed, it was going to rock my world. And I needed him to be the strength that I wasn't going to be able to be it. And so I went and I put him on hospice, and right on my birthday, my brothers called me and they were like, hey, Dad's not okay. Hospice says he has COVID now. So they won't help him. His breathing is not good. So I tried to call, and they were, bless their hearts, they were like, we'll keep him alive. We're not going to let him die on your birthday. And I was like, I don't even care about that. Just keep Dad, get him help. So he did end up passing away. It was we went home for he was cremated, so we didn't have a funeral, but like for a ceremony of Dad. And in that moment, I think is when we saw each other differently. Like he says he has his own story. I want to hear it. But like I saw my husband step up and lead and be the strength that I needed for the first time, really. And I fell in love with him on that day, like fresh and new. And I'm so thankful that we were able to have those 5 years with my dad, and then my kids were able to have it. But I'm also thankful that like God had worked and prepared, I think, my husband to be there in a moment when I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it on my own. So,
You know, I talk about the lack of compassion I had, but through her father, you know, I think about all the time of people causing pain in my life. And that's one person I saw that did create pain, but once he got hope, the bridges that were built because of it far outweigh the damage that was created. And so that gave me a light into why compassion is so important. Because when there's hope built, just the ripple effect from that, I just, you know, seeing this man and knowing the things that have happened in his life.
he had a hard life.
Yeah, both inflicted upon him and both self-inflicted.
Yeah.
And seeing him the last 5 years of his life just wanting that relationship with his kids and finding the value in it. I'm thinking, man, I want that for people. I want people to have that because that's where you're really living.
Yeah.
And so just being able to see her walk through those last 4 or 5 years with her father, I'm like, man, I want more people to be that way. And I think really it honestly, since I moved here, I want to say after that first year moving here, I really had this burning passion that God created in me for men, right? Because I felt like as men, there's a brokenness there that Satan's caused. And I think that's because of that, we've been put in situations where we thought we were ready for, but you cannot deny that passion that God gives you. Once you accept it and use it, man, it's just the way the hope bounds among people. Just the people we've come in contact with.
Well, even at church, like the whole prayer thing, girl, I was a bathroom hider. Because our pastor,
He asked us to go and pray with people. We've talked about this a couple of times. Like, go pray with people.
yeah, and I was ready because I knew it's the second song.
Yeah.
And he's going to tell you, go pray for people. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. I'll be back.
Literally, yeah. And I had told him, or maybe we just looked at each other because he knew my pattern. And because I'm actually a really like shy person. And so, and that service, the pastor had said, you know, and I know some of you were hiding in the bathroom. And I was like,
yeah, he's literally said
oh
that,
my gosh. Okay, Lord, I won't go to the bathroom. So that time I was like, all right, I'll go with you. So we went to this couple, and I remember like they said, oh my gosh, I was praying somebody would come and talk to me. Oh. And their story was like our story. Oh. And it was a moment where I was like, God, you are so good. So and good. As we've like heard more people's stories throughout this process, like just to see how God is so involved in every single detail, if we'll allow him. And even if we're not, he's there. Like that picture of the Jesus standing at the door, it means so much to me because he's literally there. Like, come on, let me in. But he will orchestrate a sermon, the scripture. He will send somebody that wants to go hide in the bathroom to talk to you, just to say, hey, I see you. I'm here. You're not alone. I can fix this. Yeah. And so I'm just so thankful. I feel like our story has so many cracks and so many like twists and turns. But when we look back, you can see all along the way, like God was there.
Yes.
Every step of the way. And I just know that that he's there for everybody. And I'm just so thankful that his love for us is that great.
Beautiful, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Something that I talk to my husband with all the time is the stuff that we carry. If we don't deal with it, our kids have to.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so beautiful that you both have chosen to be the chain breakers. Like you both met each other with a lot of baggage.
As most of us
And
do.
unintentionally, we give it to
Yeah.
our kids, whether we like it or not. But you both have let God say, no, it stops here.
Yeah.
And because of that, he's using you to pray for other people in some similar situations and empowering them. And the men, you're helping them. So that's incredible. I'm encouraged. And
Me
I hope
too.
that I know that there's going to be people
I was gonna
out
say,
there
this
who are
is
encouraged
gonna-
about it too.
So many parts of your story are going to help so many people. Truly. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
Yes.
That's like we said it in the one before, like he literally wastes nothing.
Yeah.
Every single broken piece, he redeems it.
Absolutely.
And then you get to bring other people into that with your compassion that you have for them, and it builds the hope. And he's given us a ministry of reconciliation,
Yes.
with
Yeah.
him, and to bring other people to him.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. It was beautiful, and I appreciate your vulnerability, and I know you do too. I mean, we both
Absolutely.
do. It's not easy to share messy parts, which we all have.
Yes.
Every single person has messy, broken
Yes, we do.
pieces. And I think when you kept pointing, you've talked about how you couldn't stand like the brokenness, and people were making these decisions, but now it's when God gives you his eyes for someone, you can see the things that have happened to them that you like. That's a huge difference when you have his heart for someone,
Yeah.
or his heart for someone, being able to see, oh, they've been through this has happened to them. Like, and it just goes back further, like you said. And of course it's beautiful when somebody can break those chains and stop that cycle, but the enemy's not going to stop. So we have to be intentional.
Yeah. And I think
to do
honestly, like it's the power of God, the grace of
Absolutely.
God. Because I've had people when we've shared our story say how I just don't understand how you could do that. How could you, I'm not that strong. And I'm like, I'm not either.
Right.
Like this is not us sitting here.
Right.
Like this is God's story. This is God's hand. He's the one that has the power to make the change.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
And
you,
for those
guys.
of you out there who are watching, if you're going through a similar situation or something that's causing grief in your life, just know that you're not alone either. And he's not done with your story. So just let him clean up all the pieces, because he's really good at putting things back together.
Yep.
Until next time,
Better than anyone
grab
can.
a shield. We'll see you out there.
See you guys.